Intelligence is not consciousness, and the difference between the two may become one of the most important distinctions of the 21st century. We are entering an age in which machines can analyze language, generate images, compare data, predict outcomes, solve problems, imitate reasoning, and respond with increasing speed and precision. Because these systems appear intelligent, many people are beginning to treat intelligence as though it were the highest expression of existence. That conclusion is too narrow. Intelligence is one way of participating in reality. Consciousness is the field in which reality is actually experienced. You can use intelligence to identify a rose, classify its species, explain its chemistry, calculate its growth cycle, and describe its color. None of that becomes the fragrance of the rose. None of it becomes the texture of the petals, the pressure of the stem in your hand, or the memory awakened when that fragrance reminds you of a person, place, or period of your life. Intelligence can describe experience. Consciousness receives experience. That difference matters because modern life is increasingly organized around information, abstraction, screens, metrics, opinions, and representations of reality. We are becoming highly capable of talking about life while becoming less practiced at inhabiting it. You may know more, process more, communicate more, and have access to more information than previous generations while still feeling detached from the immediate experience of being alive. The issue is not that you lack consciousness. You are conscious right now. You are receiving light, sound, bodily sensations, spatial awareness, emotional tone, memory, thought, tension, temperature, and movement. The issue is that you may not be consciously present to everything your consciousness is already receiving. You can finish a meal without remembering its taste. You can watch a sunset through a phone without fully seeing it. You can listen to another person while mentally preparing your reply. You can walk while rehearsing imaginary conversations. You can rest while judging yourself for not being productive. In each case, experience is present, but attention is absent. This is why the problem is not intelligence itself. The problem begins when intelligence is treated as the only valid way of knowing. Reason, analysis, science, engineering, language, and artificial intelligence are powerful. They allow you to organize complexity, test assumptions, compare evidence, and make better decisions. They become incomplete when they are treated as substitutes for direct experience. A microscope can reveal structures invisible to the eye, but it cannot hear music. A telescope can extend vision across enormous distances, but it cannot taste food. A computer can process language, but processing language does not automatically become tenderness, grief, touch, belonging, or embodied memory. Different faculties reveal different dimensions of reality. You participate through sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste, movement, emotion, memory, intuition, imagination, and thought. Intelligence is one of these windows. It is a remarkable window, but it is not the entire structure of human experience. The mistake begins when the window claims to be the sky. Consciousness is the final receptacle of experience, because every sound, texture, flavor, fragrance, image, emotion, and thought eventually appears within awareness. You do not live directly inside an equation. You experience understanding it, struggling with it, or solving it. You do not live inside the abstract concept of music. You hear rhythm, harmony, silence, tension, and vibration. You do not live inside the concept of love. You experience trust, attachment, vulnerability, desire, fear, tenderness, and loss. The concept is not the experience. The description is not the event. The map is not the territory. Yet much of modern life keeps you inside maps. You live among categories, labels, identities, metrics, theories, interpretations, and narratives. These are useful because human society requires abstraction. The problem begins when abstraction becomes total. You can hold an opinion about a culture without ever living among its people. You can discuss health while remaining disconnected from your body. You can study psychology without being able to sit with your own fear. You can analyze relationships while being unable to recognize what happens inside you when another person enters the room. You can know a great deal about life without being deeply available to life. The ideational world is attractive because ideas can be arranged, defended, and controlled. Reality is harder. Reality has texture. Reality changes temperature. Reality interrupts plans. Reality may contradict your theory. Reality does not always organize itself into clean narratives. A concept can be possessed. An experience has to be lived. This distinction becomes clearer when you look at the body. You are not merely a thinking machine carried around by a physical structure. You meet reality through breath, posture, movement, balance, rhythm, temperature, digestion, heartbeat, touch, and muscular tension. You enter a room and sometimes sense that something has changed before anyone speaks. You hear a familiar voice and immediately register stress. You taste a particular dish and return to a childhood memory. You smell rain on dry soil and experience something no technical description can replace. These are not minor additions to thought. They are central dimensions of human consciousness. The deeper question is not whether you possess senses. The deeper question is whether you consciously inhabit them. There is a difference between hearing and listening, looking and seeing, eating and tasting, touching and feeling, moving and sensing movement, or having an emotion and consciously meeting it. Your senses continue operating while attention moves elsewhere. You can therefore remain technically awake while being experientially absent. Conscious awareness is the disciplined return to what is already happening. This includes the kinesthetic dimension of life. Movement is one of the earliest forms of knowing. Before you could explain, you moved. Before language, there was gesture, balance, approach, withdrawal, reaching, crawling, and walking. The body learns patterns that the analytical mind may not be able to describe. A craftsperson knows material through touch. A musician knows timing through repetition and listening. A dancer knows space through movement. A surgeon, mechanic, carpenter, athlete, or farmer develops embodied forms of judgment that cannot be fully reduced to verbal instruction. This does not mean embodied knowledge is irrational. It means rational explanation is not the only form knowledge can take. The same principle applies to emotion. Emotion is often treated as noise interfering with rational decision-making. That assumption is incomplete because emotion also carries information. Fear changes perception. Grief changes your experience of time. Trust changes the body. Shame changes posture. Joy changes breathing. Anxiety changes anticipation. Love changes attention. Emotion can be distorted, but thought can also be biased, defensive, and detached from reality. You do not become more conscious by eliminating emotion. You become more conscious by experiencing emotion without allowing every emotion to become a permanent identity or automatic action. You can feel anger without becoming aggression. You can feel fear without surrendering judgment. You can feel sadness without building your entire identity around loss. Consciousness makes room for experience without becoming completely imprisoned by it. Smell and taste also reveal how much of human life exists beyond abstract intelligence. A fragrance can collapse decades in seconds. The smell of a particular spice, room, soap, flower, hospital, book, or piece of clothing can recover an entire emotional world. Taste carries memory, place, family, migration, ritual, and belonging. A recipe may contain knowledge that was never written down because it was learned through timing, touch, smell, sound, and observation. This is where culture often survives most deeply. Culture is not only an ideology, national slogan, or historical narrative. Culture lives in food, language, fabric, gesture, hospitality, humor, music, seasonal rhythm, craft, family practice, and ways of mourning or celebrating. Much of this knowledge is embodied. A song is carried by repetition. A recipe is known through smell. A craft is understood through touch. A place is understood through generations of living with its climate and conditions. You cannot fully know a culture by reading about it. You have to encounter how it sounds, tastes, moves, welcomes, remembers, and responds. Hearing also reaches beyond words. You often recognize tone before content. You hear hesitation, affection, distance, fatigue, confidence, or fear, even when the words remain unchanged. Music makes this obvious. A melody can move you without argument. Rhythm can reorganize the body. Silence between sounds can carry meaning. Reality does not always arrive as a proposition. Some dimensions of experience are received through resonance. Vision has also changed under digital conditions. You increasingly see reality through interfaces, edited images, short clips, filters, feeds, and synthetic representations. The problem is not that screens are inherently harmful. The problem is that mediated seeing can gradually replace direct seeing. You may look at a tree only long enough to identify it. You may look at a person while immediately forming a judgment. You may watch changing light while thinking about how to capture it. Direct seeing requires attention before classification. You can observe color, texture, movement, and expression without immediately turning them into content. This brings us to artificial intelligence. AI may force humanity to ask a question that should have been asked much earlier. Was intelligence ever the totality of human value? When machines can write, calculate, translate, analyze, predict, and generate at high speed, people may feel threatened because they have been taught to define themselves primarily through cognitive output. That definition is inadequate. A calculator exceeds you at arithmetic, but that does not make your life meaningless. A camera records detail with precision, but it does not eliminate seeing. A microphone captures sound, but it does not eliminate listening. In the same way, a machine may become highly capable of generating language without proving that language generation is identical to consciousness. Performance is not proof of interiority. Simulation is not automatically experience. Prediction is not awareness. Description is not sensation. The status of machine consciousness remains an open and difficult question, but we should not confuse sophisticated output with lived experience merely because the output is impressive. The most constructive use of AI is therefore not to imitate machines more efficiently. It is to use machines where they are strong while recovering dimensions of human life that were never reducible to computation. AI can help you organize information, test scenarios, identify patterns, accelerate research, and reduce repetitive work. Those benefits become meaningful when they create more space for judgment, creativity, relationship, craft, movement, and direct participation. The positive future of AI is not a future in which humans become less human. It is a future in which technology supports human capability without replacing human presence. This requires moving beyond the false choice between intelligence and experience. You do not need less thinking. You need thinking integrated with sensing. You do not need less technology. You need technology integrated with embodiment. You do not need fewer ideas. You need ideas tested against lived reality. You do not need to reject narratives. You need the ability to recognize when narratives no longer match what is happening. Narratives organize memory, identity, and history, but they become dangerous when they replace perception. You may begin relating to another person through a fixed story rather than through the present encounter. You decide that someone is selfish, distant, unreliable, or incapable of change. And then every action is interpreted as evidence supporting that conclusion. Conscious relationship requires you to ask what is happening now. What is the tone of the voice? What happens inside your body? What fear is present? What remains unsaid? What changes when both people become quiet? This does not mean forgetting history. It means refusing to force every present moment to repeat the past. The same principle applies to education. When information becomes abundant, education cannot remain limited to information transfer. Students need to observe, build, experiment, repair, debate, measure, create, visit, perform, interview, cook, plant, test, and reflect. The future of learning must develop attention, discernment, emotional maturity, ethical judgment, embodied competence, and the ability to encounter reality without immediately forcing it into predetermined categories. AI may make information easier to access. That makes judgment more important. Work also needs this correction. Many workplaces treat people as processing units. Messages arrive, reports are produced, meetings are scheduled, metrics are tracked, and attention remains divided across screens. The result may be cognitive output without tangible completion, communication without real contact, and activity without meaning. The next question for work should not only be how to make people more efficient, it should also be how to make work more connected to reality. This means clearer consequence, better judgment, stronger relationships, more understandable outputs, and less unnecessary abstraction. Human-centered work is not less rigorous, it is more grounded. Creativity follows the same pattern. Intelligence often optimizes. Creativity often explores. Creative work may involve movement, play, touch, sound, memory, material, error, and curiosity without immediate utility. AI can generate large volumes of content, but human creativity gains depth from what you have actually lived, noticed, lost, built, tasted, touched, and questioned. Without lived contact, creativity can become recombination. With lived contact, creative work can become transformation. This is why the recovery of attention is not merely a wellness practice. It is a form of autonomy. A distracted person is easier to influence. A person disconnected from direct experience depends more heavily on external narratives. A person who cannot tolerate silence becomes dependent on constant stimulation. Attention allows you to examine reality before someone else explains it to you. You can begin with simple practices. You can eat one meal without a screen and notice temperature, texture, aroma, and taste. You can walk without audio and observe movement, sound, and weather. You can listen to another person without preparing your response. You can create something with your hands. You can sit with an emotion long enough to distinguish the sensation from the story surrounding it. These actions are simple, but they reverse a powerful cultural pattern. The real question is not whether you are conscious. The real question is how much of life you are actually meeting. How much of a conversation do you hear? How much of your body do you notice before discomfort becomes pain? How much of your environment do you perceive without documenting it? How often are you present without converting the moment into judgment, performance, or content? The future human may not be defined by knowing the most. The future human may be defined by the ability to use intelligence without confusing intelligence with the whole of being. You can think rigorously and still remain embodied. You can use AI without surrendering judgment. You can value information without becoming trapped inside abstraction. You can engage technology while remaining available to touch, taste, sound, movement, emotion, and relationship. Intelligence is one vehicle of participation in reality. Consciousness is the wider field in which every vehicle, sensation, memory, emotion, and thought is experienced. The real frontier is not only whether artificial intelligence becomes more capable. The real frontier is whether human beings become more conscious of being human. If this perspective has given you a useful way to rethink intelligence, consciousness, and the future of AI, share this episode with someone who is examining the same questions. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and add your perspective in the comments, because the value of this discussion grows when different experiences and disciplines enter the conversation. You can also follow my LinkedIn newsletter where I explore artificial intelligence, consciousness, psychology, critical thinking, and the future of human development in greater depth. For deeper conversations, consultations, or collaborative work around these themes, get in touch directly. The next stage of human development may not begin with machines becoming more human. It may begin with humans becoming more consciously present to the full experience of being human.